I can't believe how quick like last 4 years is gone.
Yeah, man.
Because like my life has changed so much in the past 4 years. Like, just like from before COVID to now. And I'm not sure if it was like because of COVID or anything, but like what has changed for me in terms of, I mean, when I met my wife, I was a, digital marketing director. Digital marketing director. And I'm now an apprentice carpenter.
And you've been on Survivor.
Washed up reality TV star,
Yeah.
Crazy how much that's changed.
How old are you now?
Old enough to know better.
Yeah.
34.
Oh,
Almost
okay,
35,
yeah. It's a big difference. It's a big difference between like, your mid-20s and your mid-30s.
Oh, man. Yeah. For the better.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm definitely not as – I'm finding as I grow older, I'm not as ambitious as I used to be, which is hard for me to come to terms with, but I'm definitely more content with it, knowing that I'm not like – I don't have to break – I don't have to like – turn the world upside down. I don't have to be the next prime minister.
What makes?
Should we kick off or something?
Yeah, let's kick off.
Okay.
Well, welcome. Let's start. Simon Mee, ex-Survivor contestant, all-round good guy. I think I've said that for Alex as well.
It's fitting. Yeah, we got compared like quite a lot on the show. So
you were cast as good guys.
Yeah, and we're actually like we are quite similar in our like overall archetype kind of thing, which is pretty funny. And even like the way that we ended up playing our games, they were very similar. So look, I'm not, I won't complain about being compared to Alex at all.
He's a good dude.
He's a good bloke.
What sort of, if you were to look at your life and how it's been changed by being a reality TV star, would you say that it's been a up, down, over, or is it still sort of going? Is there a hangover from it?
I think the way that I look at it, like it was like an incredible experience, and to play Survivor twice was really cool. But the biggest thing for me is that I don't let it define me. There is a lot more to me than that, and I love it and I lean into it and I embrace like the game, the show, the community. It's such a big part of my life, but it will not ever like take over me. And I think I got a little bit of awareness of like just seeing how it had kind of, I don't know, been an obsession for others. And I just know that like because it's not forever.
Was it something you wanted to do though? Was it an obsession for you? Was it something you wanted to do?
Never an obsession. Like, you grow up watching your favorite TV show and you're like, as a kid, you're like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And, you never think anything. You're like, oh, it'd be great to go on and, go on that show one day and never think about it anymore. Like I grew up, watching Survivor like so many kids in my era did. And, when there's no social media, nothing else on, you go you go to school and you talk about what was on TV the night before and everyone's speaking about the same thing. And so I had that, but it was never like I would love to, I'm going to turn my life around or make that happen. Like it fell in my lap as opposed to going out and chasing it kind of thing.
Were you like, what did you finish on the first time round?
Oh man. So first time around, so that was Brains versus Brawn season 6. I got kicked out just before merge. So halfway, and I sacrificed a lot to go on that first season. I was 12 weeks into my apprenticeship. I didn't have to quit my job, but managed to like sweet talk my boss to let me out let me off, knowing that I might be away for 1 week, might be away for 8 weeks. And I had this sweet kind of setup where it was like my sister was getting married about halfway through filming, and we didn't exactly know when it was going to be or when the game was going to start. And I'm like, if I make it to merge, then and make it to jury, then I'll probably miss my sister's wedding, but then I get to have the full Survivor experience. And if I get kicked out before then I'll get to make it to the wedding. So I'm like, I've kind of got best of both worlds. I got kicked out on the one night that meant say my sister's wedding was on the Saturday, I got kicked out on the Sunday and was home on the Monday. So
you missed
and I missed
you got the worst of both worlds.
I missed both. So that was horrible.
Oh, shit, man.
So that was Brains versus Brawn. Season 6 came 11th or something, or 12th or something.
Not that they really
or 14th
do that,
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not very good, but it was enough to leave an impact on the game to get a call up for Heroes versus Villains in season 8. So I was playing in Samoa. That was epic. And then that one I came 6th, which was pretty cool.
While you're there, like, is it a bit like the lotto where you start thinking, hey, if I win this money, don't think about it. Don't think about it. But, you know, it's got to be something you play with like how it would change your life. Because it's $500,000, isn't it?
Yeah. And $500,000, look, from what's been told to me, passed on by a couple other probably previous winners, is like, it's enough to change your life, but it's not going to be. Well, it's life changing, but it's not enough to change your life.
Yeah.
You have to be quite reasonable about that. There comes a point in the game where it's like, I mean, for me, knowing that that is so close, like, and everything you do right now is for, there's $500,000 on the line, but you can see in some other people that they forget about it. They forget about the reality of what that is. Funny, on a reality TV show, they don't have that kind of context, and then their morals stand in the way in a game.
Sure,
they'd rather do their own thing as opposed to like
they'd rather not betray their mate or something.
It's a crazy amount of money for to be on the line. And
it is also hard to screw people over that
that's a game, mate.
I know, but it would.
But I was there, and it's like, right now I have a 1 in 6 chance at $500,000, and I'm like, that is the closest that I will ever. Even a 1 in 24 shot.
Yeah, he's close.
That was great.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I was going to say, the second time around, like when I went back, I missed the same sister that I missed her wedding. She had the birth of her first son.
So you got to miss that as well.
I missed that as well. Literally, he was born on the day we landed in Samoa, which was pretty funny.
Yeah,
so I was like, I'm still making up for that one. So he's in for a few very good birthday presents over the years for missing a few of those big life events.
You got to make up for it, man.
Yeah,
so with your growing up, were you into sports much, or was it more sort of the gym? Like, because I know you were doing bodybuilding before you went on the show. So what's your sort of physical history there?
A lot of people, if you know me through social media now, would probably know that, I'm a fit guy. I'm an ex-natural bodybuilder. But growing up, I was a weedy, like, small kid. Like, I stopped playing rugby because I was too small, too injury prone. Right. I was about 15, 16, just got hammered and injured too many times. But sport was such a big passion of mine. I loved it. And I was like literally a jack of all trades, master of none. Got into everything, tried everything, was very competitive at a lot of things, but never the best at anything. I was actually a champion orienteer back in the day, if you know what orienteering is.
I do.
So that's not something that...
Google it, people.
Yeah, not many people know that about me now. But I
so you went to visit all the best Asian restaurants, yeah? Is that
I'm not sure if you're taking the piss or not. No. So that was a big thing. Like I spent a lot of time traveling around, representing Queensland and competing at a national level. Orienteering. I represented Australia a couple of times, which is pretty cool. So I was always a good runner back in the day. And then I did like so many different sports. I was like secondary or high school, like sportsman of the year back at school and stuff. And then after school, and after being a distance runner for so long, I had this like realization of, like what going to the gym kind of was, and being like, oh man, I can work hard for 30, 45 seconds and push myself there versus going for a run for, I don't know, an hour and a half. So that was a really cool, moment.
Change of mindset,
Yeah. And just nice to a nice change of pace.
So you went from the distance running to the bodybuilding stuff. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And then after a few like growth spurts along the way, and then I was after a few years of going to the gym, I'm like, I should actually give this a crack.
How old were you? What was the?
I was 2015 was was probably when I really got into it. I did like an 8-week challenge through like a protein company's online thing. Like I was going to the gym like twice a day and stuff, and went through like I was 24 at the time, and it was a crazy transformation for me. And that was probably like the first kind of life-changing event that I personally went through in terms of like self growth. Just because I really dedicated myself to something, I kind of changed. It changed my like appearance and look a little bit as well. Like I really like bulked up and jacked up, and as like a kind of like had it like another like proper growth spurt at 21, and another one like 22. So I was quite a late bloomer there, and then really kind of came into my own and actually finally hit manhood like quite late in life. So that was quite nice. Kind of come through.
I went the same. I reckon. I reckon I had a growth spurt at like 21, 22, and like just physically changed as well. And I don't know. I think it's not really, people don't realize like still at 20, 21, you still can undergo physical sort of,
So it was nice. I felt like I caught up to all the other blokes around. But now it's funny watching everyone really get into running and their distance running and stuff. And I'm like, like I feel like I've closed that chapter of my life. Like I've been there, done that. And now it's like the shit hot cool thing to do.
Yeah, it is.
All these run
Join
clubs.
a run club, man. Yeah.
How's your park run going?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I had my 60th or 62nd or something. Yeah.
You still got Oscar covered?
Yeah. Oh, no, not on the park run. He runs like a 3, I'm going to muck this up, but like a 3-minute 40 kilometer at the moment.
Yeah, that's not bad.
So no, I'm not in that league. So he just did.
What's your 5K time for those playing at home?
With injuries now, I'm sort of getting back to low 24s.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, but so just under 5-minute Ks.
Yeah, solid.
Yeah, but I mean, I've been sort of dealing with an injury now for 12 months, and but like Oscar, he just did his cross country run today. So he's
how'd he go?
Yeah, he did really well. Yeah, the school one.
Yep.
But I mean, he's just really great at running. I think he's like I said, like in the 3s. He's doing 3-minute 40 Ks, which is just solid. Yeah. So he's only 14 years old. So he's got he's going to do well in that sport. But he wants to get into bodybuilding and stuff like that as well. So we'll see how it goes. Did you like what was the, because I think bodybuilding is like one of those crazy sports, So for me, from the outside looking in, it just looks it's mental.
It's weird. It's a weird sport.
I think it's full of weird people. Like it's like there's all this. There's sort of like that, that healthy, natural people trying to do well. And then as with every sport, I guess you could say it about every type of thing, but I think the percentages, like there's just like this, the super, I don't know, the super bulked up, that end of it is just wild. Yeah. And it seems very unnatural. And obviously you didn't get into the natural, though you were natural the whole way.
Man, I don't think like, natural athlete on the way through. And it never really appealed to me to, get on the gear or anything. And I like, it was a season of my life, as you kind of, everything. Yeah. People come into your life for a reason, a season or a lifetime. It was a season of my life. And, those other, the people who are really into it, like it's a lifetime commitment. And it's just,
it doesn't look healthy though. Like, what's your viewpoint on that side of it?
I don't believe it's healthy because in my personal experience, like I think overall, yes, it's healthy. Like it's a healthy obsession until it gets to the point where you're pushing yourself to the very end. When you're coming into the last couple of weeks, coming into a show and you are just running everything out of your body to like, you shouldn't have a body fat percentage that low. Like you're not meant to, that's not sustainable. It's impressive and you feel like a superhero. And it's cool, like walking around, you've got like muscles popping out of like the weirdest places and veins going everywhere. And, people stop and look at you and, guys in the gym want to be you and stuff. It's like a crazy time to be in, but like, no, it's not quite healthy because you're
starving underneath, right?
Yeah, you're starving, you're hurting, you don't have mental clarity at times. And because you're on such a deficit to lose that much fat. It's fat you have there for survival. So like it's the epitome of health and fitness, but at that epitome, at that peak, it's not
healthy.
All it's cracked up to be. Yeah. But it's like it's
Look,
layered.
it encourages,
It's layered.
exactly. And like it inspires people, right? Like because people look at it and they then they know what's possible. You sort of look at it and it's the sort of, it's the possibility that, hey, you know what, I could take a step towards that. You know, I don't think people really look at that stuff and go, I'd love to be like that. Or that, you know, I'm going to do what it takes. But even if it means having bigger guns or, you know, bigger, you know, whatever, or less body fat or just a step towards that is fine, you know.
I feel like there's a lot of people who come from a place of definitive motivation to compete in like a bodybuilding comp. Like there is same way probably, you know, I really, you know, if someone comes out and say, I want to run a marathon or want to do a bodybuilding show, like they want to do it because, this happened in my past, or, you know, I've come out of a new relationship or sorry, now old relationship and I want to like make a big change or something like that. Versus I was just like, I've always been into something and dedicated myself to not a
what do you mean definitive
sport.
Motivation though?
I just think like a life event, or they want to do it for a specific reason to overcome the fact that, you know, maybe they were teased back in high school or you know, they
I understand. Yeah, the revenge body or whatever.
Something like that.
Or,
like but I mean, for me, it was like always being competitive in things. And since I was dedicating myself to the gym at the time, then it's like, I'm actually just going to push this as far as I can and see how far I can go. And the thing that really got me was like, in bodybuilding, it's always a comparison. You're only as good or better than or compared against the blokes you're on stage against, right? And there's no, you know, if there's 8 people on stage, one person's in good condition and then, you know, the other 7 are in pretty shit condition, that person wins, you know? And like that's it, right? But there's no then benchmark for like that person still won. Great. But it's not like a 100-meter race or a swim or something where it's like. You can't compare
yourself to others in the world or
standard. And don't get me wrong, like, you know, if you're swimming, right, still 8 people, first person touch the wall wins. But like there's a time on that, like, you know, as opposed to this is subjective. It's based on someone's opinion and how you looked and, you know, other things like that. So yeah, there's a lot, it's very layered and it's not as like kind of clear cut. So it's a complex sport. And look, it probably comes across I'm speaking like negatively about it a little bit. Like I'd say there are probably some, you know, negative connotations that I have towards it, but it has been a really positive part of my life. And
it's where you met your wife, and it's like it's probably what got you on a Survivor, mate. You looked super sexy in the budgie smugglers running up the beach and stuff. So, you know, like it's good. It's good, you know, the eye candy for the viewers, man, you know. But no, was that when you sort of tapered off when you started? Like when were you still like in the gym when you went on to Survivor, or were you?
I was. I'd finished my bodybuilding at the time. How did I finish up? COVID actually ruined it for me. I was actually meant to compete in the IFBB in the Arnold's. Yeah, it was in like 2 weeks coming up, and then the lockdowns all kind of came in. And
was that in Melbourne? Was that meant to be in Melbourne?
Yeah, the big Melbourne. Classic, I was training for that one. I got the Queensland show out, and I came second in the novice division as a natural athlete against some of the some of the guys on the juice and on the gear. And you know,
how do you not get on the juice? Like, what was the reason you didn't? Like, were you scared of it? Were you not? Do you think it'd fuck you? What's your opinion? It just
wasn't for me. I loved the sport and I loved what I was doing, but I didn't love it as much to go and I didn't want to change myself with any, you know, the assistance of steroids or anything there or cutting agents to help me get there. The challenge for me was like, can I do this? Can I put in the hard work and can I, you know, get to a point where I can compete with these guys? So that was kind of like my challenge there.
Was it open? Was it like,
it's
was
open.
It open or was it weight limited? What's the?
Oh, they do. I was in the physique division. So we wear like wearing board shorts, so you're more showing off like your upper body. So it's like big broad shoulders, small tapered waist is kind of like the look they're going for, as opposed to like all out muscle kind of thing. And I held my own, which was really cool. Yeah, that was good. And the goal for me was to not look out of place
against those guys.
Yeah, yeah, and you just have to love it. And I think one of my old coaches explained to me that like, if you're getting on the gear, it's like you can't use it to get to 100%. If you're trying to cheat and you shouldn't be using it to cut corners. You need to put in the work to 100% and then help you get to 105%. As that's your enhancement, as opposed to
get to 95
and then fudging the rest.
Yeah.
And I thought that was that really kind of stuck with me. And so I wanted to put in the 100% and see how I went against myself there. And it was good. It was good fun. Testing, one of the best things I ever did in terms of resilience training as well, and the personal achievement and the resilience that I learned from
pushing yourself.
Yeah. Be able to spend so much time in the gym, but then still keep up a social life, a career, be present at work, be present for your family when you're starving, and trying to, at times when you can't even think straight, you're like, you've got to juggle it all. And it's just such a big dedication to push towards that. And so I was really proud of how I achieved what I did over that kind of time. Yeah. And now that I'm a father, I look back, I'm like, I can't even get to the gym now. Like I haven't been to the gym in over 18 months. I've done a couple of sessions in the garage and over that time and that's it. So I'm like, where did all that free time go? Now I'm a dad. Yeah. It's crazy. I have imposter syndrome.
With what?
Oh, being are you
about what, this, or about being a bodybuilder, or
no,
just
probably
life
about
in general?
Probably about this kind of stuff. It's like why are you any different kind of thing.
What have you got to say that no one else has said?
No, I just exactly.
No, who gives a shit about what you got to say?
Exactly.
Yeah, well, I think that everyone has that. There's people some famous, it might have even been Kevin Hart or something was talking about it, that they get to these levels and I think everyone genuinely has a spectrum of emotion that they genuinely go through, and it's quite a natural to feel that, you've got this end of the spectrum where you're dominant and you're just a killer and you feel like nothing can fucking touch you, and then, you're in bed at night wondering, what it's all about. what does it all mean? Why are we here? And
do you have imposter syndrome?
Yeah.
At times?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what I was saying before. I think one of the best things you can do in life is try to just be you. I often think about how much of me is me. You know what I mean? Like how much of my thoughts are me.
Yeah.
How much of my environment is actually what percentage is making me think that way?
In terms of the influence from your environment or what's around you, or
I think that you've kind of got this three parts to who you are, is the way I sort of look at it, which is you've got your gifts, which are what you've been given, your body, your the things that you're just born with, your intellect, your DNA, and then you've got the environment that you're born into, and they're the two parts of you. And then you've got the part that's actually the I call it, the you, the sort of, not to get too spiritual, but you, the part that closes your eyes and goes, oh, that's me, and you want to make sure you're doing the most with your environment and your gifts, and so there's that constant situation of wondering whether you're getting the most out of what you've been given, and if you take someone who's amazing at something, say LeBron James has an amazing body, and he was born in an environment where his mum, was he had a basketball coach around the corner, and he was encouraged to play basketball, and his mum was supportive of him and that environment. But if he just didn't want to play basketball, it just wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
And I think that the same thing, he could have really wanted to play basketball. He could have been born in the same house, but he could have been, 4'8", still wouldn't have happened. So you need that kind of, that sort of, and I think my goal in life is to just make sure I'm being me, and I'm trying to, just run the gifts and the environment that I'm in to do the best that I can do with it, because if you want to sort of sum up your purpose, I think that's kind of, that's why I try not to get involved in dumb shit. I'm like, I really feel like I got an opportunity here. I'm pretty lucky to be born where I'm born, and I'm a pretty smart sort of, I've got a good intellect. I've got a lot going for me. So why would I want to waste it, And
you still have to work for it. Like
Totally.
you might have those, the right place, right time, right scenario, right gifts or whatever. But if you don't apply yourself and put yourself,
exactly,
have something to work towards, then you're not necessarily.
The way I look at it is I got no one to blame. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
It's just like I just don't have anyone to blame. So that sucks in a way, because you're kind of like if everything
I don't think it
goes
sucks.
pear-shaped, but it'd be nice to say, but I was born in, some shit. Shit,
but you're holding yourself accountable, which is so important.
Oh,
and I think that
now more than ever,
I think that self-awareness is such an important thing, and if you don't hold yourself accountable, who else is going to do it for you? Well, apart from, a lot of people maybe on social media, if you're putting yourself out there.
I think that what you're touching on there, I think it's actually, and in fact, if I look at all the guests I've spoken to about, we talk about all the problems with the world, obviously Western world, not much you can do when you're getting bombed or there's some terrible situation going on in your world. But I think for most, people in Western society are really, we just have a real victim mentality, and we're really irresponsible, I think everyone upping their responsibility and realizing that no one's going to save you, no one's coming to save you, and really take responsibility for yourself. And then from becoming something, you might be able to help others. You might be able to actually create a difference and make a difference in this world. And then if that happens en masse, suddenly you've changed the world,
By reaching out to someone, touching someone in a way that makes them feel or move or make a different decision. Yeah, that's powerful.
With your social media, I was thinking about this before when you were saying, off the back of Survivor, you kind of got yourself a following. And do you find that has you've had those opportunities through that? Has there been any great interactions or any notable interactions?
After being a E-grade celebrity, washed up reality TV star, look, I take the piss out of it a bit, but it's the best thing is connecting with people in a community, in a subculture, about something that I love and I'm passionate about. In this case, like Survivor, which is really cool, but it's the shared passion which really does it for me. And so being able to, I don't know, even watch a season that I'm not in or not being a part of, but then being able to watch it with other people and know that they value my opinions on it and they value me interacting with them on it. I love that. I love enhancing people's experience in something that we share together that we both share a love for. Yeah. So that's really cool. That's kind of that's a really special thing that I didn't expect to kind of come from it. And I think that kind of helps that it's, it's a passion of mine. I was passionate about it before it came into my life, as opposed to it came into my life and now I'm passionate about it. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it would have. I mean, if you're a good guy and if you've got a good heart and you want to do good things, then having an ability to massively communicate to a lot of people, you can then really amplify that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And look, I think it depends on the, like I kind of see it like I was there, like I did my time. I had that experience. But now like it doesn't belong to me anymore. It's like, I held a special part in my heart, but it's now out there for everyone kind of thing. And I get to share that with everyone. And now I'm on the journey with everyone else to like, see what else happens in the future of the game and stuff like that. So like, that's cool. But it doesn't define me. And I don't also, when say the new seasons are on, like the one that Alex was on and stuff, like I'm not trying to steal the spotlight or stay in it anymore.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a hard thing as well, because it's like I got a following from the show, but I don't want to like I'm not trying to milk it.
You're not trying to define you. And,
And like I don't want to.
Yeah. For the rest of your life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and because there is more to me that other people wouldn't have ever and probably don't care about that. I'm now like jamming down their throats, whether they like it or not. If they, happen to accidentally like me for wearing Speedos on the beach, and now like they're stuck with me jamming jamming collaborations down their throats. Like,
what when you said before you became an apprentice, so I didn't realize that was before you went. So what made you quit marketing, and what happened there to just say, I'm a grown man and I'm going to go back and do apprentice, restart? Like that's a ballsy move, man.
It's huge.
Yeah.
So this is a really huge part of my life. And it is a story that like it is probably one worth sharing, which is cool. So I started out, went to, good school, and, smart kids go to university. They just punched out that way. You go to university because you're smart, went to university, did a business degree by natural attrition, ended up in marketing by process of elimination, I guess, and then fell into, job in like media marketing, media agencies and stuff, and did that for 10 years. Climbed the corporate ladder. I loved it along the way through. Not that I ever knew what I wanted to do, but ended up there and made the most of it and got myself into a pretty good position. I was a digital director at a digital director. I think I was digital director at a media agency, a digital media agency, which is cool. Like managing a few clients, and was on a great salary. I had great clients. I had a great team, and then kind of COVID hit, and in the media sphere, media agency, I guess like landscape, there was this like crazy race to the bottom happening. And I was always a cog in the machine. Like you're always like absolutely flogged, and you're always kind of replaceable there. And I wasn't ever going to be able to I couldn't see a way where I could make something for myself, where I could carve out something for me, by me. Then you always put your own spin on things and like projects and what you're doing, whatever. But like I was never gonna be able to work for myself or do my own thing. And I remember at the age of 25, after I finished uni, did 4 years at uni, then 4 years of work, and was like, man, I'd love to get outside and do something with my hands, something I love doing. But I'm like, you know what? I haven't given this enough of a crack to like pay off my HECS debt and make enough of an impact there. And so I kind of like didn't think about it too much at the time. And then there was I had this moment in COVID when we were working from home, and I had my head up against the wall in the shower, and I couldn't bring myself to open my laptop that day.
Wow.
Because I was depressed, and I hated what I was doing, even though I was surrounded by people I loved and work that I loved doing. I'm like, something has to change here. And I made a very, very big call, very considered call to drop a 10-year and a successful career where I finally got to that point where it was like all falling into place for me. Was on a good salary and threw it all away to go and start again, and then knowing that down the track, I will have more of a potential as a carpenter and a builder then to actually go out and work for myself and do my own thing. So it's had a huge impact on my life, and much bigger than Survivor, I'd say, because this is a huge kind of turning point. There's probably two things that really stuck with me. The first one was when I was in my first year in my corporate life, my boss, Leslie Edwards, she's one of the most amazing women I've ever come across. She was the boss of our agency at the time, and she said, sometimes you need to make sure that you need to check that your ladder's leaning up against the right wall, and which has been quite funny that analogy now is affecting me as I actually climb ladders at work there. And then the second one, it was another mentor that I had at Icon. Her name was Kate Lippert, and she said, when I was kind of talking through my process of, do I actually go and do this and stuff like that? She's like, Simon, how old are you? I'm like, 30. She's like, how long do you expect to be working for? How old do you think you'll be when you retire? I'm like, I don't know, retirement age is 65. So she's like, that's 35 years away. Can you see yourself doing this for another 35 years? And I had this moment where I was like, no,
absolutely not.
And I'm like, okay, and that gave me a lot of confidence to be like, I can walk away from this career change or from this successful career and go off and start again, and knowing that, you know what, it might take me a little bit longer to get there, but here I am now at 34, about to graduate, and I've been able to make it work. I've been able to get through and get by, and I'm very lucky to have a lot of support from my partner, but it's been the best thing that I've ever done.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well done.
Thank you.
What advice would you give? This sounds like such a cliched podcast question. What advice would you give to your kid at the moment about this? Because obviously you could look at that and say you wasted 10 years, right? But you had to actually there's no time limit on a realization, right? So you've learned something. But if someone was like, when you're talking to your children, because I'm going to have this same situation, and in my family, the general gist of advice we're giving our kids is really, if you've got an inkling to work in a certain area, let's make some calls, get you in there, do some work in that business, and then sort of see what the world's about before you commit. And I'm just thinking with the HEX debt and all this sort of stuff. And because I know that it's not only the 4 years of your life, it's a massive issue at the moment with HEX debts and stuff like that, and how we do financial planning and we look at these people's lives, and it's like, I look at it like this, and I call it the Monopoly effect. Whereas if you're playing a game of Monopoly, and if we're playing and you've got all the key properties, and I've just got Old Kent Road and that other purple shitty one. After going around the board once or twice, I'm just not going to want to play. Yeah. Right. And it's the same with, I think, when people leave school, they're 18 years old, let's say, then they go to 22 and then they arrive with a HEX debt. And by then you've sort of probably got a partner. So you don't want to live at home anymore. So you've got a partner, you want to live at home. So now you're spending more money. You're working in some job that you really don't like. You find yourself at 24, 25, and then you go, you know what, this is all terrible, and you don't want to play the game anymore, because the idea of the white picket fence and having a house and playing this game of financial, it's just so far. It's so far-fetched. So far gone. And I think that's why a lot of kids just decide to take off to Europe and travel and, and do whatever. But the point is that there's a real, I guess, disillusionment amongst youngsters. And I know there's obviously the cost of living and the median house prices are a factor in that as well. Not naive, but I'm just saying that I think that when you waste that you come out of school, you're all excited, you're all enthusiastic, you don't have to carry around a big turtle backpack anymore, and you can just go out and do something, and suddenly you get, kneecapped for 4 years and put into debt. And then, so what advice do you give on that?
Look, my point of view on it is I don't see it as wasted time, because first of all, it is worldly experience, because I know now that I turn up to site as a, fourth year mature age apprentice who has communication skills, management skills. I can run a budget. I can run a project. I can.
And if your boss needs a new logo, you're his guy.
I'm the guy. I've done the business side of things. So I'm honing my skills now, which is good, but it's not wasted for me. And I love the idea of like investing in your personal education, personal development there. So I don't see it as wasted, but I'm kind of split. Like I do see a little bit as wasted, but it's not useless, right? But I think the big thing would be, my advice would be, don't just do it because you feel like you need to. Like going back now, I wouldn't do a university degree unless I was gung-ho sure and that's what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know, and take a little bit more time or earn something before you go and spend that time studying.
And that
just
money.
for the sake of doing it.
Because it's not just the HECS debt, it's the money you didn't earn as well, right?
That's the thing.
So like you could have been earning 40, 50 grand a year. Instead you were going into debt 30, 40 grand a year. I don't know what the actual
crazy, right?
So I look at that and I think it's not a waste because you've learned something. But my sort of question is more around like and I would like to know what the enrollment rates on universities are over the next couple of years, whether they're falling or not, because I'm sure people are starting to get this message.
So my problem is with the school system that when I went through it in my experience was like really cut and dry. It was like smart kids, you go this way, you do QCS, which was the what we did in Queensland.
Mm-hmm.
You're in our senior year to get a score to get into university. You go this way, you're going to university. There was a line in the sand. Dumb kids, you go and you do a trade. You do voc ed. We call it at school. But
isn't it it's so insulting to say even dumb kids, like, because like, you know what I mean? Like even the idea that
like at schools, like the dumb kids, they weren't even like the tradie kids. They were just like if you weren't book smart,
exactly,
you go that way. And now
the definition of dumb,
if you look at that collective who went off and did a trade versus the ones who went through to university, the ones who all went off and did a trade they have to be in a better position because they earned while they studied. They came out at 21 as a qualified tradie with somewhere to go, and like they were on their feet running, as opposed to, I came out at 21 with a university degree and looking around and being like, okay, so who's going to employ me now? Like, oh no, I'm sorry, you need to do free work. You need free work experience. It's like, did I not just do is 4 years at university not enough to be able to do that and stuff? So, and then you start at the bottom. So that I really have a problem with that. So I would definitely say commit to it for the right reason. And one thing that my dad always said to me was, if you start something, finish it. And I always find it interesting, like the people who get, 3 months and 3.5 years through a degree and have like 2 subjects left and never just
put the nail in the coffin.
Never just finish it off. I mean, in saying that, my wife Beck has half a HR degree, never finished it, and is now very successful within the HR field without even having a formal university qualification for doing so. So I can see like both sides, but like it got to a point where, I mean, the other realization, like the personal realization that I had, if I had have left school and gone and started as the receptionist in my corporate job, I would have been in a better position than I would have been going to university. Yes, I may not have learned about a few ideologies along the way and, that experience there, but I would have.
You would have missed out on a few toga parties as well.
A few toga parties. I would have done 2 years as the receptionist. Then I would have moved into a coordinator role, and then by the age of 21, I would have been a junior whatever. Versus a very different coming out of university fresh, having this big ideologies about you'll learn about the theory, and then you get into work and you're like, oh, hang on a tick, like how's this actually happen? I remember we employed someone who like a straight sevens, GPA student. Fantastic, very bright, very smart. And we're going through, and as we're media coordinators, we do very mundane tasks, reporting, weekly reporting and stuff like that. And we used to call it like matching post times in TV, where like your advertising time for client X runs at 7:30. It's meant to be at 7:30, between 7:30 and 7:45, and it ran at 7:36. So like a tick.
Right. Okay.
And then
matching
you go through,
post times,
and so
yeah.
she's gone through it, like mashed up post times, and she smashed it out. She's like, oh, okay, what next?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we do it again next week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Versus what the university way of thinking is like, you study to get a result, to hand something in, to get to have that achieved, to prove you can do something. And then you dust your hands of it and you never have to see it again.
Oh, no.
Versus the real world, it's like, oh no, sweetie. we're back again. This is the next 6 months of your life. And you're like, oh, okay. So yeah, it's different. So yeah, commit to it.
What did you mean race to the bottom though? What was that in reference to?
The race to the bottom is like.
Was there something?
No, so in the media landscape, you've got client, media agency, and creative agency. The media or the client is the one, say they have the marketing team. The media agency controls, well, not controls, but like consults on where the budget gets spent to reach the eyeballs and reach the audience. The creative agency build the creative to make it worthwhile.
The assets, yeah.
Yep. And when the agency, we were always competing against a bunch of 8 to 10 other agencies and stuff like that. And the race to the bottom was like, oh, there's $100 million, say Woolworths spend $100 million on advertising a year or whatever it is. I know some of the big ones were definitely up there. And it's like, oh, we'll do it for 2% turnover. And then like, oh, you know what? And it always used to be like 8, 9, 10 kind of thing. And then when like the pitches kind of came around, it's like, oh, we'll pitch and we'll do it at 5% or we'll do it 4%. And then you kind of get to the point where like you need to keep those big clients just to keep the lights on, just to, and then they fund the technology and everything else that you need to like run the agency. And then you get the cream from like the little guys there, but without the big fish, you're nothing. But the race to the bottom killed me is like when these pressures came onto us, where it's like there was such a pressure to like win new business when we were in agency, but we weren't servicing the clients that we had properly.
Yeah.
And we weren't delivering on promises that we should have been. And it just felt like pillow talk at the time, where it's like we're saying one thing and then not following through on that. And I'm like, we've said all these things to client X, but now this is the new flashy thing. Mm-hmm. And the bosses up top, they only kind of focused on the bottom line for shareholders numbers, and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's like, that's not a game that I want to play right now. Mm. And in media, where it was like, you're buying audiences and audiences are diversifying. So, you're spending X amount on TV, billboards, radio, social media, Google ads and things like that, that it was so diversified that like everyone's trying to like, make year on year increases and stuff. And it's like, something's got to give. Mm. And it was going to be the people.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones who are working harder and getting less out of it and stuff like that. And I'm like, if I was able to offshoot, start up my own agency and do my own thing there, like there might have been an opportunity for me. But with the skills that I had and the contacts that I had at the time, it just wasn't quite right for me to make the move. So I was like, you know what? It feels right that for me to make a change and do something that I've always wanted to do.
Did you, the social media stuff, where was that at when you left there? Was it where it is? Like, has it grown massively, or was it not really that big a deal back then?
Social media was big because of the reach. Like, Facebook and Instagram ads have always been, big. As soon as like Facebook's been around for a long time now. I think that was it. I think 2007, 08 is when it really kind of kicked off, whatever. So that as a terms of a platform to be able to reach people has always been huge. But the way that we interact with, social media as users and as advertisers has changed so much.
Yeah.
Just because of the way that we consume content, video is now king. We look at the rise and fall of influencers and influencers, and that has changed the space. And the other huge consideration is that all those traditional media channels like TV or radio or whatever, like they're diversifying, because instead of having 3 channels on TV like there used to be, there's now
a million,
now 13 on. So I would say on main station, whatever, and then there's like 1,000 other like
YouTube channels and
video on demand and
so how's that help?
Services.
How's that like? So you've come out of media, gone into the apprenticeship, trade.
I mean the construction industry,
tradie life, but like so far from that. But then you got back into the media, and you got back into social media, and you got back into through Survivor, and to a degree you are an influencer now. So you are a marketing. So what's your relationship with it now?
I have a bit of a mixed relationship with social media. It was a byproduct of going on the TV show, and I only had my friends and family, extended family, of extended friends group, I should say, was like my followers before Survivor. So it's like it was heavily Survivor orientated, like following, like that kind of catapulted me there through like two seasons, and then the challenge for me, but has been my strategy, is to convert those people who have engaged with me from a Survivor point of view, but get them to buy in on my life and get them to transition, but in my content as well, to transition to be carpentry.
From Simon the Survivor to Simon the Carpenter.
Yeah, and Simon the
all-round good guy.
Or the all-round good guy. I'll take that. Thank you. So that's been the challenge for me, but that's also been my strategy in doing so. And then once having a knowledge of how the media industry worked, and just knowing, I don't know, the ins and outs of the marketing side of things, being able to manage myself on the way through, in terms of, even just simple things like, what am I worth in terms of when I'm talking to a brand, and how am I going to pull this off or whatever. But also I have a lot of creative flair, which I can now display there, which is really cool. So I've been able to kind of combine those things and take my knowledge from that and bring it to life, which has been really cool.
Yeah. But what don't you like about it then? That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I think social. I hate a lot about social media. I hate personally, it gives me a lot of anxiety, and not from say the dopamine, the lack of dopamine hits from when something fires and you get thousands of likes versus when something doesn't. But just, I just don't. It just feels fake and ingenuine.
Yeah.
And I don't like it at times, but my view of it really changed in how I use the platform, because it was so overnight for me. As soon as I was able to monetize it, that was huge, because, but the context here for me is that as an apprentice on minimum wage, I'm scratching to to make it through kind of thing. So any extra income from anywhere else is enough to shift the needle quite significantly for me. So I'm willing to, do what I need to do to make that kind of happen there, and use social media in another way. But yeah, it's got it's definitely got a bit of a vice on me, I guess.
Is in as a user as well?
Yeah. I could definitely, kill a lot of time on there, but try to take inspiration at the same time for how I can, do my own thing or bring my own kind of thing to life. And yeah, it's been fruitful for me, which has been good.
Yeah.
I really can't put into words how I really feel about the platforms. But at the end of the day, like if we could choose to have it or not, I'd get rid of it for sure. Yeah. And not like, then like not just like I know I could just delete all my accounts and like, have time offline, but I do it for society.
Yeah. But that's right. Then you'd be the only one without it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like,
it's not. Yeah, it's not my. It's
a tough look. You've got a kid now, and you're going to have to deal with that. Like, it's tough with kids, man.
How do you look? Where do you even start? Like, where? Like, I don't even. Growing up, when you leave school and, it's 3:00, the bell goes and that's the last time that you're going to get bullied or picked on is the best thing. You go home or you go hang out with your mates or, you go play sport or whatever and you just know that was done.
Over.
That was done.
Park it.
That was done. You don't have to worry about that running into that kid that, who always like punches you in the arm or something like that. That was always a really big thing when we were kind of, growing up in an all boys school or whatever. But like, it's just nice. It was nice to know that was over at that time. And I wasn't picked on a lot or anything, but like I really feel for the younger generation who now need to deal with the complexities of social media as they go through puberty. Because, I mean, if going through your coming of age and teenage years weren't hard enough, imagine trying to do it with, with social media on top.
And you know what, even if
you've got, kids on the precipice of going through that hardest transition period of their life, like how do you, and you didn't grow up with social media in those kind of, glory years that we all
the glory days when everything was black and white.
Yeah, it was. So like, I don't know. Like I don't have advice there, but you tell where do you start?
I think there's a couple of things. One is that I was just, as you were speaking and I was thinking, we're thinking about like the idea of, you said before, comparison is the thief of joy, and we've mentioned that a few times. And I think that's such a great quote that like, if you do something awesome and then straight away you compare it to someone else, you then get the wind kicked out of you. And like back when I was younger and the expression used to be keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you used to literally compare, your family would compare, like we got a new Falcon and the family around the corner got the gear or the Fairmont gear or whatever, or they got the top of the line and we only got this and that. So you'd literally compare yourself to the people around the corner and hence the expression keeping up with the Joneses. But, there is literally a TV show called Keeping Up with the Kardashians and
no one's keeping up, bro.
And no one's keeping up. And that's actually, you were just saying about how at 3:00, the bullying stops and blah, blah, blah. I don't think that's just a problem for children.
It's not.
It's actually like the adults are more affected by it. And I think, when I see the parents waiting in the line to pick up their kids and everyone's just sitting there on their phones, if you go into cafes or whatever, if you see people walking down the street, it's bizarre. And one thing that I've been really proud of myself for and my family is we know, it's almost like we know that is an evil thing to have in your space, and we've educated our kids on it. And we've had many a situation where we've had a bad thing, like someone's had a bad attitude or someone's behaved badly, and we've referred it back to the fact that, hey, you know what you were doing 10 minutes ago? Yeah, right. Like let's just and my kids are in total agreement that that devices, social media actually messes with them. So my kids are young and they know that already. So I think it's one of those things where a lot of parents don't really just enforce it. It's hard, but you've got to enforce it. But it is fucked as well. Like it is really difficult, and it's something that you wish you just didn't have to do.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like we've got all these things in our lives now that my son has to worry about stuff that I didn't have to worry about.
Yeah,
it's not fair on him. But at the same time, life's always been a challenge. I guess.
Does it get easier or harder?
Well, I was thinking about this the other day. Like, I was at the War Museum in Canberra looking at the struggles of, what would you rather be going to war? Like,
mate,
what I mean? Like, we've all got struggles.
Sitting around having a beer, talking about the essence
how bad
of life.
social media is. You know, so I think that every generation has its battle.
Yeah,
and I think there's always been those of high responsibility who look after themselves to actually, that they get through. And I think no one's coming to save you, man. Like I said before, that's like you can still
got to keep yourself accountable.
We can go down. We could leave this studio right now and go down the street here and ruin our lives. We'd have a lot of fun doing it. There's always something around the corner saying, "Hey, come and hang out with me and ruin your life." So I think it's always been that way. You know what I mean? I don't know whether it be drugs or whatever. Like there's always something there. So ultimately, you've got to take responsibility, but it's going to be tough. And I saw a video of have you seen this video of this person having a chat with an AI? I'll show it to you. I'll put it on the screen for the. What do you think of this?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Rocky. I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm awesome. Listen, I got some huge news.
Oh, do tell. I'm all ears.
Well, in a few minutes, I'm going to be interviewing at OpenAI. Have you heard of them?
OpenAI? Huh? Sounds vaguely familiar. Kidding, of course.
That's a robot,
That's
man.
incredible, Rocky.
That's
What kind of
AI.
interview?
That's good.
Well, it's for a software engineering role, but
It's
I
just
just need to
coming
know,
with
do I
like-
Actually
look
looking at
presentable,
him.
Professional?
Well, Rocky, you definitely have the "I've been coding all night" look down, which could actually work in your favor.
It's crazy,
Maybe
like when
just
compassion
run
is
your hand through your
overlaid.
hair, or lean into the mad genius vibe.
Well-
Your enthusiasm is what's really going to shine through.
I don't have a lot of time,
Yeah.
so I'm
So-
just going
so
to
what do you
throw
do-
this on. What do you think?
What do you do when you're, like in 10 years from now well, not even 10 years, probably even 5 years, where people are lonely and
You value,
They-
you place value on real world interaction, real world moments, real world things. Like,
But what do
My-
you do for say you're the lonely person, the kid that's bullied at school, the social outcast.
find what you love and do what you can to do that as much as you can. That's it's simple as that. Because I think there's a lack of, not a lack of, but finding your passion and doing that will only ever make you happy. And it helps put everything else into context, helps declutter your mind. And if you can follow your passions, find your passion, put time towards that, everything else will be sweet because you've got.
I think for some though, like what I'm getting at, like with this, what I'm getting at is we don't have the marketing budget to sell what you just promoted there as the idea of, say, but people are going to want to sell this product, right? You're ex-marketing. So
Yeah.
that's a product.
Yep.
Now, it won't be hard to sell that,
No, not at all.
right?
And
That's not even attached to
it won't
a
even be
digital.
sold. It'll be jammed down your throat.
Exactly. So I was just thinking you probably do a collab with the AI company next. But how are you going to fight the marketing budget that puts that into movies? The guy who's got a girlfriend that's AI, the marketing budget that puts that into, the morning show where, let's welcome so-and-so and he's got a good friend that's actually a digital assistant and blah, blah, blah. So, and then they normalize all that, right? And they normalize it, they celebrate it, and there's going to be young kids out there that reach these points in their life where we all do, right? It's about, we're lucky enough to have gone through tough times and had great people around us to kind of help us through it. A lot of people out there don't. So it's always the most vulnerable that'll be picked off first, or the lady or the man or the woman who goes through a divorce or something and then ends up with an AI companion. I don't know, man. I just can see it's going to get freaky, man.
It'll change the way that, it'll change the way of our life so quickly. Like, you look at the explosion of technology, over time and just, how much everything has changed. And it's exponentially going up now. It will just continue to do so over such a short period. And, our generations will change so much faster than the generations before us there. And we've kind of seen with, our parents and grandparents that we need to embrace, we need to enhance this for good. because otherwise we will get left behind. You know,
Sure,
everyone's
man.
got that one auntie who, you know, always calls on you for tech support because they just never could get their head around how to use a touch screen, an iPad or whatever, you know? So it's a reality that we are looking down the barrel of. And my point of view is on it that we have to make the most of it because we can't not, because the devices that we rely on for our, you know, day-to-day operations, for something as simple as like banking, payments or whatever, it will all be there right in front of us. But for me, it puts an emphasis on how important disconnection is from that. And
Totally, man.
And coming back to like those passion points, like the big thing for me, out of all the passions that I've ever had, I will always come back to surfing, bodyboarding for me. And like nothing will ever do it for me like that. Like that has a true vice over me in my life. And when you're out there disconnected, doing something physically in nature, no one can contact you. You know, you're just with the people around, you're in that environment or whatever, and you're just isolated.
When did you start
and
doing
never
that?
happy. Oh,
Because I got to say, man, that like
when my
you're the only bodyboarder I know that I actually go, this guy's actually a legit bodyboarder.
yeah,
You know, like
not someone that just been pushing on waves on holidays.
man, it's awesome.
My granddad always used to take us out the back at Mooloolaba Beach, where it's like, you know, quite dumpy there, and we'd be up there on school holidays, and I'd be like, I don't know, maybe between 6 and 10, I can't really remember, and you know, he used to push us on the waves back then, and I loved it, got hooked on it, and just was never able to shake it. I surf from time to time, but like I always come back to bodyboarding in terms of like the heaviness and the intensity of, I don't know, the waves when it's good. It's unrivaled there. And there's just like something that's the pure joy. Like you're so stimulated when like you're always scanning for a wave, but you can be sitting out there for like 40 minutes without like actually
awesome,
catching anything. But then like on some really intense days, you can go from like you're floating in the ocean on your board, super low heart rate, very calm, very relaxed, right? And then within 10, 12 seconds when the next wave comes, you can potentially be in one of the most intense scenarios of your life like that. And there is nothing else that can like rival that, because all of a sudden you are on and you're, you know, 3 foot from, you know, reef with you know, tons and tons of water over your head, and, you know, with this adrenaline rush like nothing else. Like it's so chalk and cheese in that moment. And like it's special. So, you know, that kind of connection from disconnection like will only ever come from an environment like that. And I think it kind of places the importance for me on moments like that, or things like that, or things I'm passionate about that I can go and do. And, you know, with, you know, either by myself or with people around me, like that's, you know, and share that moment with, the importance of that is going to be key as we strive to find a balance in what this, you know, tech heavy AI future looks like.
Yeah. I think do the non-digital time, you know, like any digital experiences, man. Like, yeah, surfing's awesome. I'll have to show some of your I'll have to get you to send me some of that footage. What's how old's Bonnie now?
Bonnie is almost 7 months.
So what was the whole fatherhood journey like for you?
I always wanted to be a dad, like always. It's nice. You know, I was the guy in the office when, like, you know, one of the, you know, baby comes in, and I'm like the first in line to, you know, have a cuddle and stuff like that. So always really been excited to have that, like that maternal kind of instinct there, and then to actually be at this point now. It's awesome. It's really cool. Yeah. You know, hard fucking work. But, you know, mate, there was we went to the footy a few weeks ago. Went and saw the Lions get beaten. Was that Carlton?
Carlton, yeah.
Oh, with Alex. That was a great night, cracking night.
It was one of the best games of the season too. Oh, probably the best game of the year so far.
Well, yeah, it was exciting until the Lions lost by 3 points after being up by 40 or whatever it was.
Yeah, but yeah.
It was good fun. But someone wanted to chat about, like, after that we had we're having a few beers and we're at the pub across the road afterwards, and I said, I can't remember how it kind of came up, but I explained Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and that you were at a peak, at the epitome,
The self-actualization.
in self-actualization for people who are aware of what that is. And I just said, I told the story just before we kind of came on. You kind of glitched, like you weren't quite sure like what was going on there.
I realized it was a compliment later.
It was a very, very much so a compliment. So do you want to tell like your kind of side of that, and then I'll kind of continue on with.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think, look, you said to me that, like, I think because we had Alex with us and we had other, people around, and you said Sean's at self-actualization or something on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which I wasn't sure whether you meant, like, I didn't actually really understand what you meant. Look, simply put, I didn't know what you meant by it. I knew just from the kind-hearted person you are, I knew you weren't insulting me, but I wasn't sure what you're actually saying. And
so I could see you ticking over
I was
in your
like,
mind.
yeah,
and we were
I'm
a few drinks deep at the time. So you were like,
well, as I said, I don't really drink much anymore, and that's probably the drunkest I've been in 4 years. And it wasn't by other people's standards, it probably wasn't that big a deal, but for me it was a lot. But the point I was going to say was that, like, I'm also someone who I don't nod along to things. Like if someone's saying something,
I admire.
I just like, what did he mean by that? Or, if my kid's talking and they say something, I'll get them to rewind because I really want to know. I often watch movies with subtitles on and Googling things as I go, or if they refer to something that happened, I want to know. I'm just wired like that. Some people can sort of let things slide. I like to really know stuff. So I looked at what Maslow's hierarchy of needs was, and I went back and I remember doing it actually in year 11 or 12 psychology or something. And funnily enough, I realized it was a compliment, and I thought, it was a beautiful compliment. But then
you texted me a few days later.
Yeah. But the point that then I actually went on to consider it further, and I was like, I guess I had all these other sort of expansions on it, and I watched a few YouTube videos on it, and I actually realized that Maslow never even drew a triangle. I don't know if you know that, but he never actually created the pyramid.
Really?
Yeah, that was actually someone else just thought of that.
There you go.
So the pyramid idea of it being like this stages thing is not actually his idea, and he expanded a lot on it, and there's a lot of other info about it, but it was just really
it's a hierarchy.
Cool. Yeah.
But I like the pyramid makes sense from a visual concept. So
what did you want to add to it?
Oh, well, I guess my point of view on it was that you were someone that I admire so much, and I'm in that I'm 34. A lot of the men in my life, my dad is mid 60s now and stuff like that. So I don't have many men in my life in just that next kind of bracket up, and as someone who is such a genuine, nice person who has a beautiful family who was welcoming in like with open arms, and from the moment we kind of met, like just struck such a great chord, and just beaming positivity.
Thanks,
and
man.
you realize that that's someone that I want to be around there. So that's not blowing smoke up your ass, but the thing that you have really inspired me to kind of be is like striving for success, and what I can be, and how I modeling things off what a good family looks like, and how I can be a better man. But the Maslow's hierarchy needs kind of came about, and being like, how lucky are you that you've been able to get to a point in your life where you value, you're not only there, but you value self-reflection, and you're able to do it selflessly without, I don't think you're pushing an agenda. You're you want to learn, you want to reflect, you want to hear about other people's stories, and you want to grow as a human and as a man. And I think that's fucking beautiful that
Thanks, man.
you're there. And I'm envious because I am not, and I will love to get there at some stage to the point where, you know, you can take that time to look back and, you know, on yourself and, you know, on your life and truly like to exist and learn. And I love that. And I'm so grateful for, I mean, look, we're a couple of white blokes talking on a podcast. So it's like grateful to be like in the position that I am to be able to have these kind of moments, but it's very special. And the thing I love about it the most is that you don't take it for granted. And that's what closes the loop on that, which makes it really special.
Yeah, thanks, man. No, it's, you know, it's, like I just can't believe that when I get compliments like that, I really am floored because I don't know, like I've always considered myself to be, and my wife will tell you that, you know, I'm an asshole. You know, I'm stubborn. I'm not really, I don't feel that way. Do you know what I mean? Like I appreciate what you're saying, but I don't think I've got it together to that degree. I'm actually so confused as to what's going on and worried about a lot of things. And I'm cynical. You
don't have to have it like together to you know to be in that
but I
spot.
think,
but you're not wasting. You're not wasting. You know what you've been through or you know what you've got at your fingertips. You know you've got an opportunity and a platform to explore those kind of conversations there, and you're making it happen. And you know, because you want better for everyone, not just you. And that's really cool.
I think. Thanks, man. What do you think is, I guess, like when you look at all these things, what do you feel about it? Like when you look at people being homeless, or you look at, because I also think, as I said when I spoke to Rin that time on my, that other podcast.
You should definitely throw a link to that in the show notes, because that is if people want to get to know Sean, that's a
good one. There are so many books written about how to live. So why don't we all just read the books and then just live wonderful lives? Because lessons don't work that way. Lessons need to be learnt. They need to be real. My wife's been through it all, man. She's been with me, even we were in high school together. So she'll tell you the story of how I borrowed money off her on one of our first dates to buy, because I couldn't afford to buy food at the restaurant, and I think we got kebabs on the way home. You know, we went through that, me being a shit boyfriend and all that. That's all life experience, right? And if you're not racking up those lessons, and if you're not saying, well, what lessons am I getting this week? Today, what am I doing that's challenging me and hardening that brain of mine and hardening that muscle that thinks and is able to adapt and apply and switch stuff together, then you won't take the risks. And this is why I encourage youngsters to just get busy, man. Stop watching YouTube videos. Even if you're watching this, turn it off and go do something, right? But it was what I was saying to him in that was more around like, I think that once you sort of get on top of your life and you kind of get on top of stuff, you start seeing all these problems that may not even be necessarily need to be there, that may not necessarily need to be there, and you also want to just do something about it.
There's a lot that's wrong with, the society and how we're kind of operating, and like a lot that needs to be changed. My big revelation, this week was like, I didn't realize like how little corporate tax the biggest corporations in Australia pay. I think it was you've seen Punter Politics?
I love it.
Yeah, great. So, I'm learning a hell of a lot about economics.
I've tried to email him and contact him because I'd love to chat with him.
Yeah, get him on.
Where did you get that? Oh, you mean this cool extra $6 billion? Yeah. Oh, we just started charging our coal mining companies just a little bit extra for all the coal that they take from us each year. You got a bit of coal on that side of the fence, don't you?
Because I've learned a hell of a lot about that. And then, you're at this point being like, hang on a tick, like, how's that fair? When, I know it's not Crown Casino in Brisbane, but they're paying zero tax compared to an homeless guy across the street or whatever, and like nothing that they're doing is like helping out the community around them there. Like,
well, even like, what about the fact that if you earn $10, the government's going to take 35 of that, $3.50 of that, like, so then you've got, if you're running your own business, you've got GST, and then you've got bank fees because there's no cash anymore. So there really is a massive suppression on middle class, and it's really tough to get out of it, and so we fight amongst ourselves. And, if you've got when people say, tax the rich, they look at a guy who's driving a Benz and say, oh, he's a rich bastard. It's like, no, we're talking about there's levels to this. There's guys up here that are on such another planet, that we're arguing between the guys who earn 70 and the guys who earn 150, and it's just like that's all just down here.
Yeah.
Right? We're all just down here. There is levels, and there are people out there that are not earning, but there are companies out there that are controlling, so much of what we see and what we, think and feel. That's what I was saying before as well. I don't want to have some corporate conglomerate's thoughts put into my head.
Yeah.
I don't want to think a certain thing because someone told me to think that. I hate that. I hate the idea that I feel a way about something and it might not even really be my idea. I'm aware of that might be the case. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is so true. Like,
One thing I wanted to talk to you about, because, and you can not talk about it if you want to, but like, as we spoke about before, I was not into the vaccine at all, and I noticed that you did. Whether, you had a post and stuff. So I wanted to ask you, did the government pay you, or did you get money to promote the vaccine?
No.
You just did it yourself?
No, that was just
go get vaxxed, do it.
I'm very passionate about healthcare, and I guess I'm believe in science. Like I have I come from a very medically, like a lot of my family work in healthcare. Mum's a community
and
nurse,
I don't want
things
to,
like that.
start a fight about it.
Yeah,
but I was more I sort of thought when you were talking about monetizing your stuff and that, I remember thinking you had a vax post on there.
Yeah, so that was
like,
just.
I wonder if you, because that's another thing I was thinking. Like,
I can't. It must have been after Survivor then. But no, that was just me. I mean, I would have done it anyway.
Right.
I'm a big believer in doing that. Like, I think that look at the other diseases that we have been able to get rid of because of vaccines and what healthcare has done there. My opinion on it is that it has done good things.
Good things, yeah.
Yeah. And look, I think that there has been a significant learning curve based on a new disease and how that has it stops the world.
Yeah.
Right. So will we have done things differently? Probably, looking back now. And I think that obviously governments have admitted that, especially what they've done with, like, say, healthcare workers or for the frontline workers and stuff like that.
It was terrible.
At the time, obviously it wasn't in a position to be making those decisions. But no, I was on a personal level, I was all for that. So no, and that was just me being like, hey, I'm making this personal decision based on my personal experience, and because I was wondering whether you got
That was one thing when you said about using your Instagram and stuff, and I was thinking, I wonder if, because I know that a lot of celebrities and a lot of people were paid to promote getting vaxxed, and that's why I thought, I would love to know how that works.
I didn't know much. I didn't
whether they contacted you or whatever, but obviously you're just doing it, out of the goodness of your heart, trying to save the world. But because with the vaccine,
not even trying to say it. Like, that was just like, I wasn't even trying to push it on other people or anything, because I'm always very open to other people's opinions and other people's thoughts and points of view on things, and that was just my personal opinion, and there was just hey, at the time,
that was a great time. That was a great example of. When I was saying before about you said you gave me a great acknowledgement about stuff, but that's a time in my life where I was very scared and worried, but at the same time, I was really I also didn't want to get vaccinated. Let's just say that, right? Like I didn't trust it. I was hearing different things. And so, you know, when someone says to me like, you know, you basically said that I'm someone that you look up to or respect or, you know, like that's what I'm thinking, shit, man, I feel like if you were to get inside my head and see what I'm seeing, like there's a lot of times in my life where I'm actually very concerned that I'm making the right decision, right? Because everyone, like 95% of the population got vaccinated and I didn't, and neither did my family. And so if my kids had gotten sick and something bad had happened, I would have felt like a absolute moron. But they trust me to make that decision on, you know. And so it's not like you're just out there knowing everything and thinking and being confident about everything. It's just there's this you know, there's also from I sort of look at it and think, shit, I worry that I don't have it all, you know, like under control, you know.
But, I mean, does anyone have it all there? Like, look, as long as you can stay, you know, true to yourself and do what you believe in, the information that you have, like, I mean, you know, go for it. Like, you know, I made my decisions based on, you know, my influence from, you know, and there's probably less on social media, but like more of my, you know, friends and family and like, you know, what my beliefs and understandings are there. And I don't have to, like, I can still look up to people regardless of, you know, what decisions they made on a certain topic or whatever. But if you know, carry yourself in a certain way, that's probably more important to me as opposed to, you know, Y or Z.
Yeah. No, thanks, man. I get it. Yeah, that was a crazy time, wasn't it?
Oh, man. Just trying to, like, a bit of a conversation about it the other day, like just how much the world changed overnight and just leaps and bounds down. Like, I think it was probably in terms of like the biggest thing for me at the time was like I was in the corporate world and just how much it changed flexibility, being able to work from home.
Yeah.
You know, if that had happened 5 years earlier, we wouldn't have been able to do it because like the internet bandwidth would not have been able to keep up with like it would have been all like
my internet bandwidth still can't.
Yeah, it would have been like phone calls and stuff like that as opposed to like the Zoom calls. And we wouldn't have been having presentations or anything. Like,
well, my son had COVID the other day, like a week ago, and we were like, you would have been put in a glass box, mate, 2 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever, you know, because
did you get it?
Yeah, we all got it. Yeah, you know. So, and it was, you know, it wasn't that big a deal, you know. Like it was. But I mean, obviously, someone's going to be listening to this go, mate, my uncle died from it or whatever. So I know that there's differing levels and whatnot. But and I'm not trying to, you know, turn it into one of those conversations. But I also know that like. Just on the social media stuff, like I've had a couple of guests on that were dead against it and they've said some stuff about, you know, and I just, you know, you make a reel and you stick it up and you just sort of say, well, this is, you know, and you can see the algorithms really don't let you share that sort of stuff still, you know what I mean? So it is interesting in that regard as well that there's still a level of containment on those subjects, you know what I mean?
That's an interesting point where it's like where you don't, I guess in the social landscape, you are likely to become a product of your environment. I think I saw something on the probably a social media post that the ABC did recently. They started up like 10 accounts for like, you know, just different age groups and sexes of people. And then you just after like scrolling through the kind of like what the algorithm was feeding them. And I think they were just looking at, I think probably looking at like, it was based on the domestic violence conversation that's obviously happening at the moment, but based on what the algorithm is feeding, you know, young people based on that, like just on their age. And it's
thank you.
And it's,
I'd love to see that. Yeah,
I'll dig it up and send it to you. But it was
because this is something that I have a problem with. You know, like my I won't name names, but someone I know, he's a male and he's in his sort of late 50s. Started a Facebook account, and he just said to me like, "What is all this? And all it was showing him was single women and links to, salacious stuff. And you can't click a button and say, I don't want to see that.
You can.
Can you?
Yeah, you three dots and be like, I don't want to see this. You open up your Instagram or whatever and you go to your explore page and it will show you, everything that that you should be interacting with at the moment. And you click on a video or whatever, you can double click it and you can go not interested or interested. So you can
see more or less of that.
See more or less of those things. And
okay, I'm gonna take a screenshot of my explore page. And I'm gonna do that for a week, and then I'm gonna see what it changes.
Yeah,
because I reckon it'll still feed me bullshit. Hey everyone, so just an update. I actually followed Simon's advice on this and went through and clicked the buttons and told Instagram I did not want to see that type of stuff on my feed. And guess what? He was right. It totally works. And I've just put up a screenshot of my current Instagram search, and you can see that it's pretty PG.
Because you think about the amount of people out there who are, male, your age, living in Brisbane, who just don't give a shit and who are looking at, I don't know, just going down rabbit holes and just filling up with, sex sells, right?
Yeah.
So it's catchy and it's right there in front of you. Your males are more likely to engage with
totally
female exposed content on those things.
Totally.
But so it's
my wife's just got pot plants and books and stuff on hers.
Yeah, so she's fed the algorithm that way.
It's obviously I also don't think that if
but I reckon that the algorithm will keep testing you.
Sure.
Because people like you will keep coming back to will keep interacting with that activity more likely than not. So it's and it's got nothing to do with you, but it's it's a lookalike audience, which kind of keeps sending it back. So
so unless you tell it, so you have to tell it that you're not interested.
Yeah, or you just don't. Yeah, you just try not to engage with it or whatever.
No, it doesn't even matter. I've never engaged with a lot of that stuff, and mate, it's thick and fast.
I know,
and I know because I've seen it on my mates and stuff, and I've actually.
But because you're friends with, and you interact with your mates and stuff, and then if your mates
interact
with anything there,
exactly. But don't,
But then if I go down a rabbit hole or, I get, I pick up the, picked up the latest Pokemon game when it came out on Nintendo Switch, whatever.
Yeah.
And then, reading up on some, strategies or whatever on, online and, feeding through to my Instagram page or whatever. And then my wife is like, why am I getting Pokemon? And then, I get all the mum stuff or the baby stuff. Through her weird thing. I'm like, why am I getting this? So, it feeds out. It will test you. It will test you. And so that's really hard to understand. It's machine learning and AI learning based on demographic and who you are and activities and behaviors and things like that. But that can be so dangerous because you
reinforce good habits and bad habits.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. You go further down rabbit holes and and the more you surround. I think that ABC article was more about as soon as you kind of stumble across or surround yourself with very pro male, anti-female, content, there is a rabbit hole out there that exists and it will feed it to you, which is so scary and so dangerous. I think you have to help clean it out from time to time.
And now the political content's all. I don't know if you've seen that they basically political content. You have to actually turn it on if you want political content. So that's not in there as well now. So
and it'll be interesting to see what happens with news down the track. If you can. Still access that on social media or, how they kind of, paywall that or whatever. But then on the same, I can see both sides of the argument where there is a, freedom of speech element to it there. But, there's still I think there's still these companies, these big social media companies like Meta have a right to look after the people and,
Well,
and do more in that kind of space.
Every corporation has to have some sort of social responsibility. Like,
Do they though?
no, but
as
that's
devil's
what we
antagonist?
say, right? The reason that you can't go and be a mortgage broker and just sign up kids to debts, that there's rules around everything. Now, that doesn't mean that it's necessarily restricted or censorship. It can there's still abilities to do things, but it's controlled in a certain way so that it doesn't become a problem. In the same way you can't abuse, pseudoephedrine. You can't just go to the chemist. You have to show a driver's license and blah, blah, blah. Shouldn't it be the same when we know things are toxic to some degree, or we know things are harmful to people's lives in some way? We can prove all this. It's all measurable, right? Like, all this stuff's toxic, and it's not something that you can't prove that, like a 14-year-old kid, and I think that's the age you're allowed to have Instagram, but plenty of them have got them at 11, 12.
Oh, yeah.
So, at that age,
It's dangerous.
man, like, you're really destroying these kids' brains, mate. They're not fully developed. They're seeing way too much stuff. There's no restriction on the violence they see. There's no restriction on. Now, to me, that's not about a censorship issue. That's more about a controlling the who has what issue. And
the dopamine that kind of comes from even social media there for someone so young, it's being compared to what it's like for a gambling addict with pokies or something like that. It's like it's so intense for someone going through their teenage and developing
wild, man.
years
Yeah.
to be exposed to those kind of levels of dopamine, and it just will control them so much. And because they don't have that level of self-control. I mean, it's just there. And at the same time can cripple them. And we've seen the mental health effects or mental health side effects and the, increased anxiety, depression throughout, young people and stuff. And we just don't have the infrastructure and the resources in place to be able to
control it. Yeah.
Well, just to help the, that pandemic that's like kind of coming for us, So it's going to be a very different landscape for the youths. How old's Oscar now?
14. My daughter's 15, turning 16, and they're just busy. That's honestly the truth. Is just they got no time for it.
That's good.
What do they say? Idle hands are the devil's playthings, or whatever.
Something like that. Yeah,
something like that. But that's the truth. Like
We're
they're just too busy
doing things they're passionate about.
Yeah, just sport is the key. It's healthy body, healthy mind, and healthy people, mate. When you play sport, you tend to surround yourself with good people, and the parents
it's
that are around
like-minded
as well.
people.
They're like-minded, and if you can get into sport and fill your life with sport, by the time it gets to Sunday, man, they're just wrecked.
I don't think it needs to necessarily be sport, right? Like sport's great and easy, but I think that it can be something else that you're passionate about. I think there's definitely other, there's immediate side effects, benefits from sport with physical, activity and the mental benefits that kind of come from that, and how you feel. But finding a passion, I think, is just so important. And if it is physically activity based, great. But having passion gives you purpose, gives you something to work towards, gives you something to do, something to, that brings you joy.
Yeah.
And you can find it in many different places, but every now and then you stumble across someone who when they don't have their mojo, or they're just not vibing, they don't have their passion or something, they're a little bit lost. That can be really, you kind of see that and you're like, what's your thing? What do you got going on? And they kind of don't. I feel for those people.
Totally.
Because that's when you kind of can get lost and swallowed by the machine and by life and by everything there. So if you can find something that keeps you ticking and keeps you going, I think that's great. And I have to acknowledge that it does become harder and harder in these kind of times, the cost of living crisis and stuff, and how much our society is so built for. So based around how much we need to work first, work first, as opposed to finding that work-life balance that, those passion things are quite often the first things that fall to the wayside when it comes down to crunch time. So
that's why I think sport ticks for me. Like I didn't really grow up with much sport, so maybe I'm just over enamored by it now because I didn't have it. But it teaches you to play well, a team sport, right? Like it teaches you to work with others. It teaches you resilience because sometimes you just suck and you're in a team that sucks. It teaches you that you can be good at stuff that you don't necessarily want to do. Like you might end up in a sport that you don't necessarily want to do. All my kids played in grand finals last year. 5 years ago, I was literally dealing with my daughter crying, saying, "Dad, why are you making me do this? And I don't want to go," and dragging her to training and, honey, we agreed we were going to do it. We're going to do it. You know what I mean? And finish what we started and all that sort of stuff. And she just hated it. And now it's probably one of the best times of her week where she trains twice a week and plays two games a week. So it's also taught her that, you know what, like sometimes you might not like something straight off the bat and she loves her friends are amazing. And
it's great.
The other part about it is I just really believe in, I think kids are like bloody like blue heelers, they're like sheepdogs. They just need to be run. Not all kids, but I'd say 80, 90% of them could benefit out of just being run till they just can't even. I've seen my kids like literally so tired they cannot stand up, and then after 8 hours sleep, just be ready to do it all again. And you realize also that as you get older, that's just not a real reality.
Yeah.
So. It's just really, I wish I had more of it when I was growing up. And like I said, they sleep like rocks. They don't have, they don't develop anxiety as much. They don't develop worries as much. I think sport is just so damn good, And you can also be like you're surfing, man. Like you're disconnecting and you're focused on a ball. You're focused on something. It's
just something else.
Just something that's real and it's outside your head,
I think the biggest learning that I ever had was winning's great, but it's not all about winning. Like it's good to be, it's easy to be a good winner, but it's hard to be a good loser.
Bloody oath.
And if you can, good losers are like I always strive to be a good loser. I think that's important, and you see a good loser, a good sport, they're the kind of people who I want to surround myself with because it's always easy to win. I'll tell you what, with my I signed up to the Gold Coast bodyboarding comp this year, so the first time ever actually going in a bodyboarding competition.
When is this?
They do it once a month on a Sunday.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
We had the first one probably about a month ago. The next one's this Sunday. And out of all the things I'm you're passionate about and love so much, I love the ocean, love surfing, love bodyboarding so much, but it's the thing I suck at the most, right? I'm not very good at it. I can hold my own, but I've never, as much as I've trained, as much as I've tried, I've never been as good as I'd want to be. But I've achieved so many successes in every other field, but it's always the thing I'll come back to. And so my goal this year was to they do it heats of 4, right? And you got 15 minutes to get you two best waves. And I want to score I don't want to come last in have one heat this year that I don't come dead last in, and we get an overall score of 5. So that's out of 2 best waves out of 10. So I need 2 waves of 2.5. That's my goal. So I'm but this is a big thing for me, right? As a 34-year-old going on 35, doing something I've never done never done before, doing it for the first time, giving it a crack, and knowing that I'm going to suck at it, but getting in and giving it a go.
Totally.
And I know that that's always easy advice to give to a child, give to your kids. But then it's one thing to, to follow through with it. So I'm you know what? I'm going to bite the bullet. I'm going to give it a crack.
Fucking nice.
So here I am at 34, giving it a crack for the first time. And God, it's been a lot of fun.
I love it, man. Now you're going to do great too. Is that at Snapper Rocks? Where's that?
No, they do it at Duran Bar, We don't.
Oh, okay. Where's that?
Literally around the corner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the bodyboarders don't have a lot of
Clout on the waves.
No, and it's not as big as a community as it used to be.
Yeah. Oh man, it sounds good. Good luck with that.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, I'll let you know how it goes.
Great, yeah.
It's good fun. You just get out there, get involved and stuff like that, and it's also good. Like, probably a little bit like not midlife crisis, quarter life crisis. Well, I'm probably more closer to mid than I am quarter now.
Third life crisis.
But like, you have a child, and you want to make sure that you still a little bit of you remains. Because I think that's also really important, because so much of your time and your life revolves around a child for all right reasons and amazing reasons. But like, it's still important to hang on to, your identity. And the same way that I think about a marriage, like that, you don't become one person, that you still are two individuals who, share so much, but like, still are, you just not completely just combined in one big blob kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's what, I really, really love. And I encourage, my wife to do her thing. So,
man, like I'm obviously past all that now. My kids, my youngest is 10, and one thing I've realized is, you're still young at 45, 50, man. And I know that sounds like an eternity for most people, and for you it's still 12, 15 years away or whatever, but I don't feel – I'm excited that the job's done. I'm excited that these guys like are going to take – like Oscar and I are going to run the bridge to Brisbane, and it's, like –
so you can
I'm like,
bring them
I'm
into
so
the
excited
thing,
because
yeah.
I don't really – I've got a couple of mates that I do it with. They're way faster than me, and, we don't even see each other at finish line because they've finished their banana and gone home by the time I get there. And I'm just like, it's so cool that my son, and now I'm going to football this way. And you actually realize that they'll get you to do stuff. You'll interest them in, like, Bonnie will probably start doing bodyboarding. You'll take her to the beach, but then at some point she'll get into something and go, and or she'll start running or playing some sport. You might even be the coach, or you might whatever. And before you know it, man, like you just back into stuff and you realize, wow, they're actually inspiring you to do stuff. You know what I mean? And it's
100%.
really cool.
I reckon I'm going to be one of those dads, like, end up being the coach of everything, or, just like really getting around, like, whatever she's doing. And I just love people that are passionate about, like, when they're passionate about something, or when they're really like, you're frothing at the mouth, and just you can just see it coming out of them. You're getting around that, like, that's always really cool.
Yeah.
So, I can't wait to see like where I'm going to be on the side of, like,
the community side of sport's awesome, man.
Yeah, I reckon going to be on the and a few dance recitals or things like that as well. Just getting into it, it just being a good role model for your kids at the same time, and, getting in, giving it a go, making it happen.
I'm going to get another beer. Did you want another beer?
Yeah, have another one.
Should we talk about the pyramids? I have no data on this, but I'm keen to get some. What are your thoughts on like, so with your house and all that, have you finished the reno and all that? Is that all done?
Yeah, so we bought two years ago. Yep, coming up to about 2 years ago. And have just finished the renos. We actually got the evaluation back today, which is pretty cool. And look, I got to do all the fun stuff around the house. Like, I got to, I don't know, you knock out the kitchen, you put up beams, you install the kitchen, you do the splashback and all the stuff, and learnt so much along the way. And my wife came along behind me with a white paintbrush and a roller and just painted everything white like 3 times over. So, like, I had fun doing, like, different things. Like, it was exhausting, but she just painted for, I don't know, like 5 months straight. It was crazy. Like, but once we were all done and we moved here, like, we were living there at the time. Yeah. But it was such a relief to be done. And with the mortgage broker that we went through, we were able to, like, after we kind of finished, it was about probably, I think it was 8 months after we bought the house and we were kind of finished. We got the, got a, valuation to kind of come back at the time, and we were able to get we're in a position of privilege where my parents were able to go guarantor on the loan for us. So that's 20%, they kind of front up, and then until you until the price of the house goes up in 20% value, they won't. You then get them off then. You then get them
off the title, or off the guarantor,
That's it. So with the mortgage broker, they said they hadn't seen anyone get their parents off the guarantor loan in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
So it was just nice to know that how hard we worked over such a short, intense period of time to
pay it off, man.
Yeah, to get there. I mean, not that we're still in more debt because of all the money we spent on the renovating, but actually having the equity there was huge.
Yeah, it's great, man.
Yeah,
and that's what I wonder. Like, if I know that it's really bad, housing crisis, blah blah blah, but I also look at it and I think there are pathways that if you want to do it, like if you've got two people living together and you're earning a decent wage together, and you can save some sort of money, and you're willing to live a bit out of the city, and I don't know. I look at properties on realestate.com, $500,000-$600,000. I know Toowoomba or these outer regions and stuff, and I think I still think there's some ways you can actually get ahead in this world. I'm more positive than the media. I think it's really. It's doom and gloom, but I actually think if you actually put your head down, there's an actual way. There's a pathway, you know.
I had some friends buy. It's sacrifice, compromise, and knowing that in the long run you're making a decision now that's going to be beneficial to you in the future, statistically, right?
Of course,
and it's happened time and time again. If you make smart choices along the way about how you do it and what you invest your time and money in, especially if
all those
in
times
your home,
that you're doing those renos as well, you're not going out to dinner. You're eating at home. You know what I mean? It's also it's a bit like the HEX thing, right? You're not only building stuff for yourself, but you're not doing a whole bunch of stuff as well.
Yeah, and we also knew that like if you do it smart, like every dollar that we put into it was almost doubling it. Which was good, and having the skill to be able to that was my apprenticeship paid for itself by going through and doing that, and renoing the house at the same time. Yeah. So to have that there, to actually see a hard financial benefit from moving from a 6-figure salary to minimum wage, that was pretty cool as well.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to do that and stuff. But you've got to be motivated to put in the time to do it, and you make some huge sacrifices. I didn't really think we went out to dinner, or we didn't go partying, or we didn't do anything fun apart from paint.
But
but you make it work.
And you built a life together, man. You actually built a life together, literally, and built a house for your family. Yep. As I said, I think that the median house price is distorted because the median is the middle. Right. So the way the statistics work is the median house price is actually the middle sale. Now, that I don't think is necessarily the right way to look at what a property for what you want to do would be suitable. So although if you compare the average wage to the median house price, you need 4 times the average wage or whatever, and whereas 50 years ago you only needed 2 times or so, whatever that whole calculations are. I don't really know them, but my point is that, as I said, if you've got a couple and they've got decent jobs and they're able to sort of move half an hour out of the city and they're able to hit up Bunnings on weekends and make those sacrifices.
That's a sacrifice. I'm not sure if people want to do that though. They're
well, that's not what they report in the media though. What they report in the media is it's impossible. Yeah. They don't say it's possible if you want to make sacrifices. They just say it's the cost of living crisis. Now, I understand it's shit. I'm not going to at all defend that it's not a bad time. But like we said before, this generation doesn't have to go to war, so there's also some things that the boomers and these other people that were crap about their existence as well, you know what I mean? So I'm looking at it saying that I might actually do the numbers and maybe in a later podcast actually stop just talking about it and actually really look at this. But I just think it can be done. I don't think it's as bad as it seems. I think it's doable.
You have to adjust those expectations. Yeah. And you do make sacrifices. And no, you're not going to be living within 5Ks of the CBD and still have a 600 square meter block. That's gone. That is just not achievable for the young generation. But that then comes with, you have to move further out, commuting further. You might not have the same access to services or anything, but like it's still, it's the need versus the want, right? Like to achieve that and to achieve home ownership, if that's what your goal is there, you just have to reset some expectations, I feel. And it's tough. And I feel like there are, if you've got, kids from a, middle of the road family or whatever who, grew up in the, in a city, they just can't afford that kind of lifestyle there. And it's the first generation that really has to really take a step out of that bubble to, exist or have the same kind of means there. And it's a really hard pill to swallow. And I mean, I didn't want to move to like my suburb when I first moved there, but like, geez, based on what's happened over the last 2 years, it's like
best decision you ever made.
Yeah, which is nuts.
But isn't like going back when my parents bought their property, I don't know, 48, nearly 50 years ago, the suburb they bought in was not near, like...
They were all shit.
It was shit
back then. They were all on the outskirts.
Yeah, and there was no shopping centres and stuff in those areas. Like, so as I said, I guess my point is this. I think it's doable. But back to the monopoly sort of theory that I was saying before is I think that sometimes these kids have spent 4 years in uni, they've got a debt, they've now living out a house, they're just so cooked with all the sacrifices that they have made, spending their whole life in school, another 4 years in uni, coming out with a debt, and they just want to actually enjoy their life. They want to go and travel. They've just got a new partner. Life's just happening. And the last thing they want to do is be told, no more, you've got to have to make sacrifices. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's why I think they say, you know what, this game's just not for me. And they just don't want to play the game.
And so I feel like that probably at that, as a middle of the road millennial, I really feel like we had a bit of bandwidth in there when before the crunch, we really felt the pain of the crunch, I guess, where we could go explore and fuck around in the world and make the most of living whilst you're young, dumb, and free. But I feel like that period of time is really shortening, and you just don't have you almost can't get ahead enough to, I don't know, fund that kind of lifestyle as much as we were able to, and the generation before us was able to.
But do you remember your parents going to Europe for a summer?
Actually, no.
You know what I mean? Like,
no,
they just never did this stuff.
No,
mate.
they didn't.
Like, I don't think everyone realizes that. Like my parents,
maybe we were the sweet spot, kind of going through there. We kind of had the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember. Like my parents went overseas once in their life, and they were in their 50s. So
that's actually a crazy point, right?
The idea of eating out, like, are you crazy? Like, is it someone's birthday? Like, we're not eating out. And we would always go to someone's house. It was like we would go to someone's house and people would bring plates of stuff and we'd have a party at someone's house. There was no restaurants.
Yeah.
So, do you know what I mean? I'm just saying that these are the cards you dealt. If you're in the position, you're 20 years old today, these are the cards you dealt. Turn off the TV, have a look at the actual situation and try and work it out. Maybe it isn't actually impossible. You know what I mean? Maybe it's not that impossible. You could actually, remember what I said about trying to think your own thoughts? Maybe you don't want to go to Europe. Maybe that Croatian boat cruise that you're seeing on Instagram ads every day is actually not your idea.
It's pretty good though.
It's pretty
pretty good.
I never went, but I'm saying, do you know what I mean though? It's like get your own thoughts back and choose the direction you want to go in your life and stop trying to compare yourself to everything that you see. And maybe there's an option there,
Yeah. It is hard
easier
because
said than done.
I know it is definitely easier said than done, but because we do see a lot and you have so much more exposure to, I don't know, so many different things, our exposure growing up and they used to come from like magazines or, like that was the kind of pipe dream there. And it was,
now the magazines are in your pocket following you around all day.
Yeah. And they're bigger, they're more, I don't know, extravagant. you know, there's because
All
they're
your
trying to be
mates from the marketing agencies, man. That's
yeah,
what it is.
yeah.
It's all, those
it's all
guys.
eye catching and you know it's blingy because it's all competitive against each other to draw eyeballs into it. You know, so yeah, it's hard and like it's always easy to say yeah you got to make some sacrifices to kind of get there, but like readjusting your reality is something you have to do. I think it's important to stay connected to your world, not the social media that you kind of see, because like there's so much bullshit out there. But you know, you see the 1% from the bullshit makers, you know, and that's what kind of, you know, fuels it or whatever. But then like, you know, the rest of the population is just, you know, is going to work and doing a 9 to 5 in some kind of extent to an extent. You don't like, you see the dream, but you know, you're given a very different reality, you know? And yeah, like, don't get me wrong. Like it's hard but it's possible.
Exactly. And that's what I was saying, man. Like with social media, like you are the product. Your eyeballs are the product. It's free. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you're the one being sold. You're being pimped out to all these agencies. When something is free, is like you're the thing being sold. And in this case, you know, Instagram, Facebook, it's all free because it's your attention that is being sold to these other people as an opportunity to sell you. They're saying, well, here's Sean's attention for X amount of dollars, sell him something. So when you sort of have that realization that you're the product in this whole gambit, you know, step out.
The thing that really like gets me is like, you know, I was quite lucky that I was able to travel quite a lot. You know, I always worked hard at my job at Woolies in the deli there, and you know, every year I always saved up, you know, with everything that I could to, you know, get overseas once a year. And the experience that I had from travel was just awesome. You know, I was living at home, like that was the sacrifice that I made to be able to, you know, afford those kind of things. But you know, being able to travel and like that was the bee's knees, you know, really cool. And you know, I was doing sometimes a couple of weeks a year overseas, which is really special. But now like that just doesn't seem as possible or as viable for, you know, someone coming out working a, you know, casual job. Like it's almost just enough to get by. And I mean, like that's a bloody tough decision, right? For those people who can't like, who you want to get out and you want to have those years of, you know, living free or experiencing the world and experiencing how other people live, how other people see the world, different cultures.
The Croatian boat trip.
Nah, shit, don't bother. But you know, like those things help define,
of
course,
course,
people you are.
And look, there's nothing wrong with, and this is why I was saying to Alex about like the family unity is a very powerful thing because if you can build a good, safe family unit financially, it actually, you can stay at home longer. You can have more experiences longer. You can learn more sitting around the dinner table with your parents about finances and stuff and how the world works than you will at school. And then that gives you these opportunities, you know, like you were so lucky to have a family that, you know, supported you. You had a safe place to live and a safe place to stay. If anything went pear-shaped, you always had home to go back to.
Yep.
You know, this is such a building block of our society, you know, and that's also another issue why a lot of people can't buy homes, because financially where families are being like financially destroyed, you know, divorces and all that just destroy wealth in homes.
Yeah.
And it reduces mum and dad to on the same level. They're not putting a hand out to help you up anymore. They're on the same level.
Yeah.
You're both renting. You're both,
and then they're doing it for themselves as opposed to doing it together.
Yeah. And so, you know, exactly all the compound benefits of having things shared. You know, you can feed a family of 5 for like $50, or you can feed one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
By the time you pay your Uber Eats delivery fees and all that, it's like $38 for a taco. So this is how consolidation of wealth and families are such a key building block in society. And so I'm not saying that everyone needs to stay married and stay together. I'm just saying like that
There's
would
a
be
huge benefit
there
to
is
doing
a huge
so.
benefit to doing so, you know. And you were lucky enough to have all that, man. And then they even were able to help you build your house and back you and all that. And then you're able to go on and provide for and it's this ongoing thing. It's perpetuation, right?
I've been so lucky in my life that I have had like that a white picket fence kind of dream or whatever. And my parents like they didn't grow up with a lot like and they worked very hard to to get to where they were. But even when Mum will tell us about some of the struggles or whatever, we just weren't aware of it because they just worked so hard to give us every opportunity as a child. Bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, like going out to attack everything in the world or whatever. Like it's kind of cool and humbling to see those things. And I'm just so grateful to have that backing and support there and such a like I've had on both sides of my family. I've had very functional families who communicate and catch up like quite regularly, and it's beautiful.
It's awesome, man.
It's really special.
We've got to recognize that is actually a great thing as well. Like there's not enough celebration of that, in my opinion. Like I
feel bad talking about it.
Yeah. Well, we also look. It's just. I just don't think it should be against the law to say that's a great thing. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be such a bad thing to say that you're living a better life than they did. And your kids will probably live another step up from you because of all your life experience and knowledge, and it's all going to be passed on. And it's this perpetuation of wealth, whether it be financial or knowledge or wisdom, but it's just that wealth that you're able to capture, keep, and pass on. And I think we're in this weird part, and I'll Google this and I might put it up on the screen if I turn out to be right, but I bet we're at one of the points where for the first time in a long time, the next generation is doing it harder than the previous. And things are actually stepping down.
You reckon this is the first time that they're doing it harder?
I reckon, in a long time. I don't think there would be a point in history where conditions haven't improved for the next generation as there is right now. Whether it be, well, I'm not sure what you'd use as your yardstick, whether you use financial opportunity or just even, I know that mental health and anxieties and things like that.
As a millennial, like we always hang shit on the baby boomers because, they grew up when, good times where and good financial times when things weren't that expensive or whatever. And we look at where they are financially now. But then I look at the lifestyles of my millennial friends growing up and, through our, early adolescence, 18 to 25. And, we had a lot of freedom to be able to do a lot of those really cool things. And I can't see that coming through the same, in the same extent from the next generation. So like,
well, what measuring stick would you say that the next generation is better off than us? Or then what measuring stick are the kids of today better off than our generation or your generation, probably more so?
Well, first of all, if you have a look at like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Food, shelter, primary basic needs to actually go out and like thrive and survive, right? I feel like a lot of my friends, my experience, but, and millennials maybe didn't need to, like a lot of those things were a lot easier to come by. We didn't have concerns over, are we going to be earning enough money this week to be able to buy groceries? That was kind of like, okay. But, you see that with the cost of living crisis for young people, it's not as achievable as what it was for millennials there. Right. So it's kind of, as you move up the pyramid to be able to do more, like, I don't know, have more freedom and away from the financial pressures. Like if you can escape financial pressure, you then have at least a little bit of bandwidth to be able to, I don't know, go out and explore, have fun, get some real life experience. So yeah, I would agree with that point that it's kind of, I think baby boomers probably had apart from facing war, like, which was huge and off the back of obviously the depression and stuff, but the baby boomers had a pretty good like pretty good run, and then
last
it has
real
got
thing
better
was-
and better. And then I
yeah.
think millennials have been great, but I think the next gen is going to it's
I
not
think-
going, might not go forward. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't see that. And then, if we look at, the other thing is that just because someone doesn't have food, or, okay, maybe food's probably a big one, but like just because someone doesn't have some of these basics, let's say, and then you provide them with that, like you could be in jail and have food and have shelter and have those base needs covered, but you can't do any of the other. There's limitations on your growth.
Yeah.
So you may not be as happy as someone who's got to scrounge for food, but at least they have freedom, for example.
Yeah.
So my point being here is that although we've handled some of life's threats, we've handled disease, we've handled, food, and no one's really starving. Like our homeless are generally overweight. I don't think that there's those, just because we've taken care of those needs doesn't mean that we're actually building happier, better, like more stable people with more opportunities. You know what I mean?
Yeah, expand a little bit more.
So I guess when you look at what makes for a good life,
Yeah.
it's not just surviving.
No. Oh, of course not.
It's actually
But
thriving. And so
you need to
we've got,
survive before you can thrive.
although we've handled the survival component,
Yep.
is what I'm saying.
Yep. Okay.
We've handled that part. So you'd think, oh, what a wonderful world. No one's starving. Obviously, I'm talking about Australia. People aren't starving. People have got, access to food and access to, but beyond that, obviously you've got your homeless and whatnot who don't have much more than that. But then even just average families and whatnot, they don't really, if a kid can't see a way for him to actually go on and have purpose, be part of a community, build something for himself, there's a feeling of hopelessness that engulfs these people. We have, massive suicide rates, we have massive anxiety rates, massive self-harm in young girls, it's, and I don't think any of those things have occurred. You've got the perfect storm between social media, actual media, which is pessimistic. Obviously, the way the economy is structured as well. I don't really think that, because we're not really producing a whole lot in these countries. Most of the roles are corporate or government roles, which a lot of people aren't suited to. I think a lot of people are suited to being self-employed and working with their hands and that sort of stuff. So there's no production jobs, not a lot of self-employment jobs. And I think, I think there'll be some information on that, that'll state that right now things aren't looking great for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how things play out, as AI technology kind of, has assisted us so much, but what this means for this next generation in a very much changing environment. I would not want to be, coming through as a young kid these days. Like, I think it'd be a hell of a lot harder than what I had it. So, you see these kids coming through, and you're like, it's tough. It's tough out there.
Yeah, well, it's like the whole idea of whether you should know maths because you have a calculator. Like, so should you really know how maths works, or should you just go, well, I've got a calculator, so I don't need to know? Because that's where we're going to be, but on a massive scale. Because we're going to have AI that'll be like the calculator that answers every question you've got. So you won't need to know anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's different when you say, I don't need to know how to multiply because I've got a calculator. And then kids kind of say, well, I don't need to know that because I can do it this way. I don't need to know that. I don't need to know that.
Yeah.
I'm worried that AI brings about an era where we don't need to know anything.
See, I don't completely agree with that, but I think that, like, you need to have, if you have an understanding on how you can make the technology work for you and embrace it and enhance it, to make your life easier, better, more efficient, whatever, then I can see the benefit in that, and I support that.
In what regard? Like, so you don't need to know how things work? You should know.
You need to have like a basic understanding, but with that basic understanding, if you can at least get the prompts from, AI, if you still need to know what you need to put into AI to get the output for what you are trying to do, solve.
But what happens when you ask like, what's 5 times 5 and AI says it's 30? And
oh, well, that's a whole different
and
problem.
then you
that I
go,
haven't quite
well,
considered that.
who's actually like, who is AI?
But who do you like? But what about like is it? Have you ever doubted your calculator?
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like we get to a point where if my calculator, if I typed in 5 times 5, and my calculator said 30, I'd throw it in the bin because I do understand.
Yeah.
And I know we're getting sort of a little bit out there, but I just worry that when you
it's not regulated.
Like who's regulating all this stuff?
I don't know. That's the terrifying thought.
Yeah.
I think I always remember my maths teacher was that throwaway comment, but he said it all the time. It was like, you're never going to be walking around with the calculator in your pocket. And like, it's so funny because we obviously
literally do.
Yeah. And here I am as a chippy, and I find myself doing a lot of very
basic maths.
Yeah, basic maths, like all the time. I actually do a lot of like
subtraction and addition and stuff.
Subtraction, addition. Like you're always counting in like 450 mil increments on things, and then like a lot of trigonometry, like triangles and squares and areas and things like that. So there's so much there.
Does Pythagoras come out and represent?
Yeah,
because my kids, it's like, man, Pythagoras is theorem. I'm like, man, you use it for everything.
It's like, as a chippy, it's like one of the one very basic things, like you probably keep that in the syllabus. Like,
don't get rid of Pythagoras just yet.
It's handy, But I think that you need to know what to put in to get the right output, because that's where that thinking will come from. And unless I get to a point where it can take the thinking out of it, which is terrifying, I think that you need to have at least that the knowledge about the problem that you're trying to solve to be able to prompt something to do the thinking for you. I don't have a problem with that because if that is helping you solve the problem, it means you can put time, effort elsewhere. And you may be able to, you may not know or understand why that might be the case. But if that's what you need to do what you can do, then maybe you can do a whole bunch of other things faster, more effectively. And the thinking just shifts elsewhere. I remember I saw a thing the other day on social media that was like, if you finish, at the end of your life, someone said, if you didn't have your phone or whatever, you'd have an extra 20 years because of time you just spent on your phone or whatever it is. But it's like, without that, right?
It's not true, yeah.
But you were spending time at the bank lining up to get money out, but now it's all like tap, tap, tap. And you don't have to go to the bank, take the money out that you needed or put that in. It's all right
when dinner
there.
was ready, I was able to just text all my kids to say, hey, come to dinner. I got a WhatsApp group. It was so easy.
It's terrifying. But there's other things you kind of can be doing. If you're taking time out of the thinking.
I think that convenience is sometimes, I think it's good to just stretch things out a bit.
I like the principle. I hate the reality of that just because I hate washing dishes. But I love getting the family together to stop and connect. It's about connection.
But there'll be things you do, right, that I think sometimes there's different. I guess we're just probably even also at different phases. Like I'm at that phase in my life where I know this is probably one of the best times of my life and I don't want it to go by too quick.
Yeah.
So I don't want to do anything to speed it up.
Yep.
And then there's also times in your life where you're just hurrying to get to the next thing.
So slow it down in a fast-paced world.
Yeah. But, there's all these things that we can do to make our lives easier. And sometimes I just prefer to do it myself. And, I think there'd be something in your life that you probably find the same. Something.
I'm sure there's something there. Nothing off the top of my head.
Well, even you just said about even just feeding your baby, you know what I mean? Like, what
Yeah,
if you could get a
that's
machine
true.
to do that? You know, like,
Yeah.
you wouldn't want to do it, right? It's
Yeah.
the same sort of thing. It's just, there's certain things in life where you go, I really just want to, you know, I just want to be a part of this. I don't want to hand this over to anyone. I don't want to give it away, you know?
Yep.
Anyway.
There's probably one other thing I thought would be like interesting to talk about. Is like, do you do anything for you in terms of like your mental health and like the day to day, like your like little check-ins with yourself or anything there? Because I'm always interested to see like what people do.
Mental health, hey?
Yeah.
What makes you ask? Do you have any experience with mental health stuff?
Not a lot personally, like a little bit of like anxiety from time to time, but like nothing like crippling or overwhelming, which I'm very grateful for. But I feel like I always spend a lot of time trying to focus on the positives, and refer to myself as a bit of like an eternal optimist. I can always see the good in every situation. But like recently, I've been doing daily affirmations. So like on my way to work, put on a song that like was just relaxing, puts me in a good mood, and like regardless of whatever else is going on in my mind, I can just like take a moment on my commute and be like, I get to go to work. And a few things I'm grateful for, and just how that like sets me up for the day and just helps put everything back into perspective. So I've always enjoyed just seeing what people do for themselves and in like those kind of like little things and stuff, because learning from others and seeing what they do, and it's like interesting and intriguing.
Of course, yeah.
And then go like, oh, I might take that and like make that part of like my routine or something, or I'll try that, and then you go, it doesn't really work for me, or that doesn't really hit my spot. But then you go, oh yeah, like I like that concept, and I'm gonna take that on board.
Yeah, I mean, look, I had pretty big struggles with anxiety early. Like, I think from like 20 something, 20. I think about 23 to 35, and I think a lot of my stress was actually being not able to be myself without fear of not judgment, I guess, yeah, but like I was just surrounded by people who were just not very nice people, you know what I mean? And I think the biggest thing in your life for your mental health that you could ever do is just surround yourself with people who are great people. And it's, again, so much easier said than done. It can even be your close family. It can be your immediate family that's like, cutting you off at the legs, and it's very hard to get away from that, right?
Yep.
But I'm fortunate it wasn't my immediate family. The people that were actually cutting me off at the legs were people that I was working with. So there was really the day I realized that, a bit like you had the same realization with your apprenticeship, is that my ladder was on the wrong wall, and I changed direction and went, I'm actually just going to do what feels right for me. And I realized that I can't run anyone else's race. Even if it costs me financially, it's like, then that's just how I was meant to be.
Yeah.
I'm meant to be broke, but at least I'll be me. You know what I mean? I'm just not meant to be that way. So I made that decision and I made that jump. And the things that keep me sane are having a great wife. It's just like, I'm just so lucky that I've got someone that I can actually be myself to and really make mistakes with. Like, I'm able to say stuff, do stuff, and just be. And then on a daily basis, I love music, and I honestly just went for a run actually before, and I had I just put on this random playlist from all my liked songs.
Yep. The power of music is, pretty incredible for, how it can change your mood or take you somewhere else or help you escape. Depends what you're running from though.
Totally,
and, does it help you? Can it help you like you manage or you get to a space where you can then process those things, or like is it just like a nice to just flick the switch off and have a bit of time away from it before you're going to come back to it and stuff. So, yeah.
What song were you listening to? Mr. Brightside?
No. No. It's like I always go through waves. Like something will just like stick with me and it'll be on my like I'll never post my Spotify because it's usually just like one or two songs that will like, that year or, a 3-month period that will just go on like high repeat and just like, just get me through. But Cherub by Ballpark Music, just for some reason is like over the last, I don't know, 2-3 months has been like my wake up, go to, good mood, deep breath in, deep breath out. I get to go to work. I have an amazing family. Time's always the biggest crunch. I think that's the most valuable commodity that we have. It's complicated, but I think that the older I get, the more I become like okay with being, content with what I have and the trajectory that I'm on. People go like, oh, where are you going to be in 2 or 5 years? And I know a little bit more now, but sometimes it's like, I don't know, but like I'm happy with where I'm going there. The question I was going to ask you was, have you peaked yet? And I'll let you define peaked.
No, I would say no.
Hell yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I'll say I'm just getting started, man.
Hell
really.
yeah. That's good.
Because like I'm a very traditional father now, and I'm building something with my family. And like I've gone from this lone wolf, sort of like I've gone from this lone wolf in the wild to sort of this guy who kind of got sort of married, fell in love, had kids, and became a dad. And then I'm at that point in my life where, have you ever seen the Fantastic Mr. Fox? Have you seen that scene where he looks at the wolf on the ridge?
I couldn't recall it, but I know, I reckon I've seen it.
And it's this pivotal scene in the movie where he has to make a decision.
Is it the animated?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's there with his kids, and he's looking and admiring the wolf in the distance, and he's a fox. And it's a really powerful scene in the movie where he just realizes that was him and that was what he could have been, but he's now this guy. And he sort of misses that part, but he realizes that this is now him. And I get to enjoy building this life with my family, and I'm not like, it's not just me anymore. Do you know what I mean? It's like I get to live through my kids, man.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah. No,
I'll show you this scene.
You get to the point where it's like, oh, you see the kids on the party boat in Croatia and was like, you know what? Good for them, but I don't want to be there anymore.
See if this
Don't turn around.
What?
Oh yeah, I've definitely seen this movie.
show me, make sure we're the right bit. Yeah. Watch this scene.
Where did he come from? Where'd you come from? What are you doing here? Canis lupus. Vulpus vulpus. I don't think he speaks English or Latin. Pensez-vous que l'hiver sera rude?
It's George Clooney.
I'm asking if he thinks we're in for a hard winter. He doesn't seem to know. I have a phobia of wolves. What a beautiful creature. Wish him luck, boys.
Good luck out there.
Yeah, it's good.
It's such a cool scene. It's sort of like a bit random,
Yeah.
but it's just there's something about it that it's just, you kind of. I got YouTube Premium, man. It keeps playing. Yeah. But yeah, it's that sort of. I'm at that point in my life where I'm a family man, and it's exciting.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah,
It's deep. Covered a lot there.
that's what we do, man. And then we chop it all up and take out the bits that are boring. It's good. Yeah, man. Well, I think it's been a good chat, eh? I think it's just clocked over midnight. So
Bloody hell. How good.
yeah. So yeah, it was a great chat, man. We covered everything, eh?
Yeah, we covered a hell of a lot, and a lot more than I feel like I'm qualified to be commenting on. But hey, like I actually usually try to stay quite neutral and away from quite like conflict avoidance.
Sure.
But at the same time, there are a lot of conversations that that need to be had.
Yeah, isn't it good to be able to just chat about stuff though without the idea of it being conflict? Like this podcast these conversations have been great because we just get to talk, and everyone knows that the idea is to just express what you're thinking and, go back and forth, and maybe you reach a conclusion, maybe you don't. I think what I've realised here is like I really just don't really know what's going on, Hey, man, it was a great chat.
That was great. Deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if I was ready for that, but it was good.
Yeah.
Very, very thought provoking, Sean.
Thanks,
and
man.
It's nice to take a bit of time to reflect and talk about those things and try to tackle the world's issues one at a time.
One Pokemon at a time. We'll talk soon, hey, and all the best with everything. And I look forward to hanging out, man.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Have another beer at the footy. Thanks, brother.
Yeah, it's great. It's
Excellent.
great to hang out, man. Have a chat, and we'll catch up soon.
Sounds good.
Time for bed.
Far out, yeah.